Good morning, everyone. First chance I've had to properly sit down and talk to you today. It's just been a bit of a chaotic morning, doing various jobs at home and just getting things done. Uh, that can be pretty much a day-to-day thing for me, so I try and get the videos out when I can. Um, this might be a slightly longer video, I don't know yet. It's just to do a bit of a roundup of things that we may have mentioned this week, things I might want to expand on, and we'll start with PSG. That was the Champions League round of 16, first leg at the Paris. I went to that game expecting a tight game, so be cagey, maybe 1-0, because I knew both sides have got a lot of attacking talent and can cause problems. PSG had been on a winning run for I think 9-10 games. They hadn't lost many recently. Alright, the French league isn't as competitive as the Premiership, but they're still holding their own in Europe and they're still getting that momentum. And after we struggled in the second half against Wolves, didn't really do ourselves the best credit against Villa, but two fantastic performances against Man City and Newcastle, especially Newcastle, where we don't think we really got out of first gear. We controlled the game, it was calm, it was comfortable, it was a reassuring win. We had a bit of a gap with no FA Cup action, so we went into that thinking, well, we'd be fresh, will we have lost a bit of momentum? And that first half, I think PSG taught us a few lessons. You could argue all day, was Konate lucky to stay on the pitch? Possibly. If he'd gone, I would have been upset, but I don't think I could have said that's the wrong decision. You can't send him off for that, because we've seen similar things before where they haven't given a red and fans have said, well, why is it not a red, or begrudgingly admitted it's a red when it's been given. The goal they scored, when I saw it live, I thought, what's wrong with that? That's a decent goal. And when you saw the semi-automated offside call, I mean, it was what? So tight. And I think that's one reason why they're thinking of changing the offside rule to is it Wenger's law? If you drop a message in the comments and confirm whether I'm right or not there, whether that's the name of it. But it looks like, say, in a year's time, that might have been given. And that was by a player we monitored in the summer who was at Napoli. I'll try and pronounce his name right. Kvaratskhelia, the Georgian winger. And I remember saying to other fans, we need to sign him when the links came out. He's a really dangerous player. And some thought we don't need him. We've got Gakpo and Luis Diaz on the left. And if needs be, we've got Darwin Núñez. And he ran us ragged in that first half. He was a threat. I've seen odd clips of him in Ligue 1, and he's looked sharp and dangerous there as well. So it's obviously carried over, and to do that to us the way he did. And then we saw the rumours of €100 million bids coming in the summer. Rumours have to come from somewhere, though I don't see that ever happening. I felt we improved a bit in the second half, but we were still on the back foot. I mean, what did I say in the match recap? We conceded 71% possession. 27 attempts they had at goal, where I think we had 2. And then we get a smash and grab from Harvey Elliott. It wasn't a pretty performance. It was not a great performance. I wasn't happy with the performance, but I was happy with the result. We managed to grind out a result. Last year, maybe year before, years gone by, we might have lost that. I mean, look at Atalanta and the Europa League. We folded 3-0. There we held firm, but you could say a lot of that was thanks to some heroics from Alisson as well. I mean, he's probably played the game of his life in that game. Absolutely incredible performance, and he's gone on to say, and that gives us the question in the summer. We were going to have 3 keepers. We're going to have Keller, but we don't know if he's going to stay. But at the moment, he's our player. We're still going to have Alisson, and I think his contract runs out in 2027 with a year option to extend a year. And then we've got incoming from Valencia, Georgi Mamadashvili. Brilliant keeper. We saw it at the Euros and last year at Valencia. I mean, you don't get nominated for the awards he did after the Euros and that if you're poor. And they've struggled this year. But I don't think you can blame that on him. I've seen some of the goals they've conceded, and the defensive play has been lacking. The cover and the support he's had has been not brilliant. I mean, I've seen reports saying he's conceded a goal and the goal being a penalty. I mean, if you're going to mark him down for conceding a penalty, if he hasn't given the foul away, then there's not much he can do. He can only guess and hope. But we've got him coming in, and this is where I want to expand a bit more on another video, because obviously it does look like we're going to have a summer of change, summer of activity, because we've got players that are likely to be leaving. It does look like Trent is pretty much bye, see you later, I'm off to sunny Madrid. Now that leaves us the question, where do we fill in the right back spot? We have Connor Bradley. We've shown that he can compete with the best as well. Just look at the photo of him on Mbappe at Anfield, where he literally flattens him. Huge fan of Connor Bradley. I was last year. I think he's a brilliant player. He's probably more defensive minded than Trent. He has not got Trent's passing ability. I mean, I don't think we're going to buy a right back that can offer that, to be fair. That is going to be a huge loss, the chances he's created. But Connor Bradley is better defensively. He's also still pretty decent going forward. We've seen that. He can attack, and he links up well with Mo Salah. So, assuming Mo stays, there is that connection there, but it's where we bring somebody in. I mean, I know we've been linked with some players from Brazil. I've heard Frimpong's name being mentioned. Joshua Kimmich's name's been mentioned, but I don't know what's happening there. Do we want to be sticking Conor Bradley back to second choice again, or do you think he finally deserves his chance? He's only going to learn by one way, and that's playing games, and just constantly sticking him as second choice and giving him maybe 5 games a season, 6 games a season. For me, I don't think he's going to develop as well. I don't want to send him out on loan, because if we need him, well, he's on loan, isn't he? Then we don't have him. I think we should give him the number 1 spot and then look for somebody younger, even if it's a 19, 20-year-old from, say, the Championship or even further down the academy, like we brought Bradley through. I'd have to look more into right backs that would fit the bill with a bit more depth. The centre back spots, we've got Joe Gomez, who could fill in right back, but we don't know what his future's going to be. He's also a bit of a problem with injuries, as we've seen. And he was linked heavily away last year, both on his own and I believe the Anthony Gordon stories both him and Jarell Quansah. That means the other two centre-backs we've got are to cover Virgil van Dijk would be Konate, Quansah as well. So let's round that up. We would have at the centre-back spot Quansah, Konate, Gomez, Van Dijk. And that's assuming Van Dijk stays as well. If not, then we have one heck of a void to fill. He's one of the world's best centre-backs. He's a leader. He's the club captain. He dictates the game his way. He plays it at his pace. I don't think he's ever flustered. He's so calm. And that's what makes him a really good captain and leader on the pitch, in my view. He shows authority when he plays. So who do you bring in there? And who goes out? I've got a feeling we might lose Joe Gomez. So that leaves us with one right back and three centre backs. I think we'll lose a left back over the summer, though which one I don't know yet, because there has been concerns over Robbo's performances. If you look at Fulham, the red card incident didn't need to really make that. There was one against Wolves, and I can't remember who it was. It could have been Semedo, I'm not too sure, but he literally gave them the entire half of their right hand side to attack because he completely missed the challenge. We don't need that. That's not the Robbo we had 2 or 3 years ago. Klopp was a huge admirer of his, had huge faith in him, fought to get him in because the data suggested another target apparently, and Klopp wanted Robbo. And I would say the records and stuff speak for themselves. He's defended well. He's also created a lot of chances. The other option we have on the left, if you discount Gomez, is Costa Tsimikas. Which one would go if you brought in another left back? That's probably another video I'll do. I'll probably do the fullback separate. If you look at the midfield, the main three are Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister and Ryan Gravenberch. We have obviously Curtis Jones and Wataru Endo, and then I suppose we have Harvey Elliott and Tyler Morton. We've got Naoni as well. I think Naoni still needs time to learn and develop. Morton, I'm not 100% convinced he'll still be here in the summer. We've obviously still got Stefan Bajcetic to come back from loan, but we don't know, will he stay, will he go? It's hard to plan when you don't know when players on loan, because history's shown that when they've gone on loan, they've not always featured later on. Obviously, Conor Bradley was at loan at Bolton, I think, but we've not really loaned other players out. It's normally the youngsters who are on the fringe of getting into the squad. But we do need another 6 because we need cover for Gravenberch, to be fair. He's looked tired in games. I mean, yes, we have an Endo, but I don't think he's the same type of player. Endo's a bit more, what's the word? He's not a ball playing 6. He's the one who's more likely to get stuck in, fly in type 6, and I don't think he's as creative as Ryan Gravenberch. And Curtis Jones is more offensive. I mean, even he said that himself. If you look at some of the footage from the Jurgen Klopp documentary that recently aired, you can see from the interview in the episode 1, I think it was, how he sees so experienced cover and some fresh legs in the middle areas would be good. Now if we go up front, that's where we could see the biggest changes. There is a scenario where we could have a completely new front three to what next year, because we have no idea whether Barcelona could come in for Luis Diaz, though I think he's second on their targets. I think Isak is first, but we know Newcastle don't have to sell. They're not under pressure to sell, and that's come from their CEO. So that may make Diaz a more priority target for them. They're a huge fan of Luis Diaz, and he does want to go to Barcelona at some point. And his performances have tailed off recently compared to the sparkling form he started the season with. Darwin Núñez, we need a new number 9. There's no doubt about it. We need a number 9 that can score goals. Darwin Núñez cannot score goals. Alright, he created the goal for Harvey Elliott on Wednesday night, but you look at his record over the past 2.5 years, it's been pretty self-explanatory. Even Robbie Fowler said he's not number 9 for Liverpool. He works hard, but your centre forward needs to do more than work hard. Your centre forward needs to be putting the ball in the back of the net. You think we paid more for Darwin Núñez than Manchester City paid for Erling Haaland? And Erling Haaland's probably scored more in 6 months than Darwin Núñez has in 3 years. So we need a striker. And I gave some options there the other day. And we've seen the Isaac links, we've seen the Benjamin Sesko links as well. And then on the right, we don't know what's happening with Mo. Is he staying? Is he going? The thing with Mo, and you could say it's the same with Virgil van Dijk, there's no European club coming in for them. Their age profiles don't meet what other clubs want. And from what I can gather, neither of them want to go to Saudi at this point in their career. So where do you draw the line? Where does the bargaining stop and the decision get made? Do they have to take a huge pay cut and go elsewhere, or do accept what Liverpool's supposedly offered, or if we've offered at all? We've only got the rumours and speculation and the little bits of information that's come out from the club and both players. But if he stays, we still need to look at a replacement for the future. We still need to get that planning done, and it'll be the same said for Virgil van Dijk, to be fair, because of their ages. But one thing Mo doesn't have, he's got no understudy at the club. We've got Federico Chiesa, a huge fan of Federico Chiesa from his days at Fiorentina, but there's problems with his condition. One could say it's a bit of a tiring subject. You could do videos on why Chiesa isn't playing. You'd probably fall asleep. Maybe that's what Chiesa's doing. But he's not playing, really. He's getting on the bench and he's not getting the minutes on the bench. And his last appearance was possibly FA Cup. And he didn't really do himself any favours in that game. Mind you, a few players didn't do themselves any favours in that game. So, yeah. Would you need another more cover in for him? You probably would. You'd need somebody else to help out. Just give Mo less minutes. I mean, I think he didn't play against PSV. He didn't play against Accrington. He didn't play against Plymouth. And I'm sure there's a Carabao Cup tie he didn't play in as well. He's not really subbed. He literally plays to the end. But we've seen, and it was, I believe, Sky Sports put out some stats. That is the physical stats for how much he's running, the yards he's covering, and the physical demands on him are actually less on the slot than they were last year under Klopp. So could that have an impact as well? Is his game less intense than it has been previously? We know he's lost some of his pace. That's natural. You get that as you get older. But that's a rundown and summary of where I think we are with the squad. We do need options in literally every position, I think, because we don't know if Ben Doak's going to stay. We don't know if Jayden Danns is going to stay. Yes, we've got our kid at Rio, but he's young. He's the future. We've got some good young players, but they're for the future. They might be 3-4 years down the line. Where they're going to fit in this season and next season. That's the thing. I will try and do a video and break down possible incomings as a collective. Maybe nearer the time when we know a bit more about the contracts. And then we can see where we need to bring players in. But it's just really hard when we don't know for sure what's happening with these three. I mean, it's ridiculous. We are coming into the middle of March. And when Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes officially commenced work at Liverpool, was it the 1st of July? They knew in July these contracts were running out. So we've gone July, August, September, October, November, December, January. We've gone 8 months and they're not sorted and there's no clarification. Trent, if he's off, I can understand because they did a similar thing with Mbappe. They didn't announce things until later on. But if the players are staying, why can't they announce the staying? Give the fans and the club a bit of a boost. What boost is it when you hear that your captain is saying committing for another 2 years? Or your talisman, which is Mo, is staying for another 2 years? We know Mo desperately wants to win the league title. Would that be his swan song? Would that be his farewell? We don't know. I hope it's not. But we know eventually it will come to the day when he leaves. Same with Virgil van Dijk, because eventually they're going to retire anyway. But I'd rather we got the best years out of them and not lose them on a 3. Excuse me. Same with Trent. I really don't want to lose Trent on a 3, but that looks like we are definitely going to lose him because I've not seen anything to say that he's going to stay. The only things we've had is the things from Real Madrid bigging up Valverde in the right back spot. I think Trent stays if Real Madrid decide no, we're not going for him. But there's no indication that they're pulling out of that route. There is rumours that they want to get the club to release him from his contract early for the summer World Club Championship tournament thing that's going on. But again, it's rumours, it's hearsay. Right, so that's a roundup of the PSG game, the squad. We've seen a few rumours on players. I've done individual videos on them. Let's try and talk a bit more in depth, more freely. When I'm not like looking at a phone, reading notes, I can. And it's not like towards the end of the day as well, so I'm probably in a fresher mindset. I mean, we've had the Alexander Isak links. We've got Newcastle coming out saying they're not required to sell. Barcelona apparently want him. I mean, if you look at him as a player, he's a fantastic striker. The goals record speaks for itself. He's done well for Newcastle. There is some concerns over the injuries, and I get that. I see that. But I also look at the age he was when these injuries were occurring, the training that he's doing at Newcastle, the prep, the match play, because Newcastle have had a few injuries as well across the board, both this year and they had a few last year. So is Isak's injury solely down to his body or the requirements Newcastle are putting on him? That would be an interesting thing, because I think he's only had really one major long-term injury. The rest have been small 2 or 3 week ones. Whereas I think he's only had one where he's been out for a few months. I'd have to look more in depth at the injury record on that. But even if you take the injuries out and saw what he has, he gets you he would get us 20-25 goals. If we'd had Isak playing against Villa, we'd won that game. I think if we'd had Isak playing against Man United at Anfield, we'd have won that game. I think we'd have won the Merseyside derby with Isak playing, and there's probably other games we've drawn. I think Forest, where we had a lot of the ball and lost, I think we could have won that game. So he could have made a huge difference already. But it's that fee of 150 million is a huge concern, and not only that, you sign him, he has a signing on fee. That would be high. You would have his agent fees. I'm not going to say they're going to be small either. Then you've got his weekly salary. At the moment he's on, I believe, 120,000 at Newcastle, and they said they don't need to really offer a new deal. He's on good wages as it is, but he may decide I can get more elsewhere. And I think I said in the video, or I have said previously somewhere, I wouldn't be surprised if that went up to 200k. When you think we've got players now on 300k, I'm thinking, oh, they're high earners. 200k is a lot of money, especially when you're forking out 150 million, signing on fees, bonuses, add-ons. He will be an expensive transfer. There's no doubt about it. That is why, with possibly the number of players we need to bring in the summer anyway, I don't see Isak coming. I don't see that being a realistic thing. We're possibly going to have to bring in 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 defenders over the next year or two. We may need to replace 3 attackers and may need to bring in a couple of midfielders. The 150 million outlay, I don't see happening unless we come into some magical windfall sponsorship. I just don't see where we can do that deal. Even if FSG approve it, how do we do a huge rebuild anyway with FFP, PSR rules in place? And I think it's next year they change again anyway. So it's not a realistic one. Other big name that's been mentioned is Benjamin Sesko, the Red Bull Leipzig striker. He was a good player at Salzburg. He's done well for Leipzig. We do have club connections with Red Bull thanks to Jurgen Klopp. And there was the reports which I covered from Sky Germany over Sesko's release clause, saying it could depend on his performances. So the better he performs, the better he plays, the more expensive he is. I would take that as a given with most players. I've got nothing. to say that that's rubbish. I've also got nothing to confirm. That is just what is reported. So until we can say otherwise, that is what we've got to go on. So we could be looking at between, say, 50, 60, 70 million there. Cheaper than Isak. Much, much cheaper than Isak. Wage-wise, I think he's on around about just under 90k. So if he's signed, you could be maybe looking at 120, 150k a week because you'd want more money, which is understandable. He's jumping up a level. So, but Arsenal also linked with him. I don't know whether we've made any approaches or inquiries to his camp. But gut feeling is I don't see him coming. I can imagine it'll be somebody else. I'd like him. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great player. But I don't think he's one that'll be coming in. I have a funny feeling it might be more a João Pedro or a Cunha from Wolves. One striker I do like. No, I don't think we've been linked with him. But he's impressed me for a struggling Ipswich side. Is Liam Delap. And Southampton have got... Oh, I'm going to have to go because I've forgotten his name. Let's have a look. I think it's Dibney. Winger. I think we've been linked with him as well. Tyler Dibling. That's it. Dibney. I knew it was something like that. And he would probably be cheap due to being relegated, though. The last negotiations we did with Southampton were brilliant because that was Romeo Lavia, and we haggled and haggled and haggled, and he went to Chelsea. So, but I can say that is probably the sort of options we'll go. We'll go with somebody relegated, or somebody cheaper. I think. Talking of Southampton, that's our next game. That's the game this weekend. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that after... Excuse me, I'll just change that. What are your thoughts on Southampton after the PSG game? Are you worried? Are you apprehensive? Or are you just thinking PSG are a good side anyway? Southampton have got 9 points out of 27 games. They're effectively relegated. Or in all but name, really. In all but status. So are you confident we'll beat Southampton? And are you thinking we'll hit them for 6, literally? Maybe we'll get that elusive 8 or 9-0 win. We've seen Southampton battered like that before. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that game coming up. And what has we got after that? Because I think March is classed as a quiet month for us as a club because just find my app for the fixtures. So we've got Southampton 3 o'clock at Anfield on Saturday. And then let's have a look. We've got the return leg for the Champions League on the Tuesday. That's 8 p.m. kickoff. With being a 3 p.m. kickoff for Southampton, it's not going to be on mainstream TV to watch. The Tuesday game against PSG, though, it is live on Amazon Prime Video, at least in the UK anyway. The depending where you live, you may have other providers for it. But after that, weekend after, we have, that's the 16th, so we have no Premier League game that weekend, because that's the Carabao Cup final. So we have Southampton in the league Saturday the 8th, and then I think the next league game, in fact the end of March, is FA Cup. So the next league game after that is, I think, the Merseyside Derby on the 2nd of April. So we're going from the 8th of March to the 2nd of April between Premier League fixtures. But we have played a game more because we played Villa, which was a rearranged fixture from the Cup final. So what are your thoughts on the remaining 10 games for us, 11 for Arsenal? Where do you see Arsenal picking up 33 points? Do you see them dropping points? I believe Arsenal have their next game, I believe, is Man United. Let's have a look. Arsenal fixtures. They've got Man United. They're on a high after the PSV game, and that they've got the return leg then. Then they've got Chelsea. Then they've got Fulham. Then they've got Everton. Then they've got Brentford. So they have some games that you'd think on paper that they should be winning, but we're coming to the business end of the season, crunch time, where teams can lose their minds, lose their heads. We saw Arsenal, was it 2 years ago, struggle at the end when they looked in cruise control and couldn't do it. And we've seen teams challenge in the past and then just fade away at the death. We've still got Forest fighting up there. I thought Forest would have tailed off by now, but Forest is still up there. The slightly further adrift of Arsenal now, thanks to the result at Newcastle, which was a bizarre game, to go be 1-0 up to 4-1 down, I think it was, within 11 minutes is insane. And it was a game of two halves, because Newcastle were the top team in that first half and Forest were the better side in the second half. And then they got the result against Arsenal as well and could have won that. So what are your thoughts? Are you convinced title 20's in the bag, or are you on the fence, sitting nervously waiting and hoping? Okay, as I said, it might be a long video. It looks like it has been, but thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening. Take care until the next time. All the best, guys.